Welcome back to In Your Neighborhood. Serious model train fans know that authenticity is key, and at Weaver Models in Northumberland, that's their goal, says owner Joe Hayter.
Well, these are true prototypical models. In other words, we have to make them as accurate as possible because the people that we sell these models to are serious modelers, and they want a serious model. In other words, we try and detail it to the highest detail we can get. We do this by drawings, photographs, any information we can get to do this. We take them typically from modelers that we know or prototype drawings, and we try and create a real first-class model.
Opening in 1965, the company first started making wooden kits, where a buyer would have to build, paint, and decal it themselves. After 15 years, they decided to make a change.
In 1980, we made our first plastic train car, and the sales were good on the first one, so we continued on with the plastic line. Originally, the company was called Quality Craft Models. Now it's called Weaver Models, the division of Quality Craft, because it started out with the Craftsman kits as Quality Craft, and then it went into Weaver. We transitioned into another name, but the plastic O-gauge cars. These are O-gauge cars, 1/4 inch scale cars.
Today, with a staff of just 8, Hayter says they make all of the models right there at the business along Route 11 in Northumberland.
Well, we make all of them here in America, but the last tooling was made right here in Northumberland. The tooling was made in Northumberland by Boyer Machine, and then we get the parts run at a place in Selinsgrove. It's called Selmax Plastic, and then once we get all these components in, then we do the assembly, painting, printing, and I can show you the process as we go, but that's basically what Weaver Models is.
The process to make the models includes assembly, painting, putting on decals, and packaging. Each area requires time and precision.
They have to be all cut off. They don't come loose. The body is in one piece, but all the parts have to be put on, the components are put on. Then once she gets all these cut, then they're placed on the cars where they belong. And then once the cars are all pre-assembled, then we go into the printing process.
During the painting process, a mold is used to make sure that the colors are in the correct place, and each color has to be applied separately.
And then once the base color is dry, then this car is put in this paint mask. I don't know if this is the right size. Oh, there it is. And that'll fit in that paint mask. And then that second color has to be painted on. Then there's a mask for this side to paint this second color on.
So that mask looks like...
Basically, yes. Yeah, in other words, there's 4 masks. One mask for this, and this.
Yeah.
And the reason there's 4 masks, because if there's any minor variation in this car from one side to the other, there's going to be overspray. No good. So there's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 masks for this car. The door you need the mask to do the door separately, right? And then there's also a mask for the end. This end is a black color. So basically how this is done, it's painted the red color first, then it doesn't matter. Usually we do the sides next, and then we'll paint the ends. So this car is it's quite an extensive process to go through to paint that car, and it's done with the same style mask as this. They're made out of copper, and they have to fit absolutely perfect in that on that car, or it just makes the job is no good.
To get the most accurate color, Hayter says they make and sell their own paint, which consists of about 80 colors.
We blend our own paint right here from the basic components. In other words, from the resins, we have our resins, we buy thinners, we buy the pigments to color it, and dryers and all that, and we blend this all together and we create the paint ourselves, which is convenient for us because if we need a specific color fast, we don't have to wait, order it from someone and hope that it comes in on time. We can actually blend it right here and make the color for the specific model.
Once the paint is applied and dried, it's time for the model to move over to the decal area. Hayter says they do what is called pad printing. The first step is creating the artwork on the computer and putting it on a film sheet.
The first step in this is to create the artwork. And once the artwork is created, this is all done, the artwork is all created in the computer. And then once the artwork is created for this particular car or cars that we're going to do, we have to put it on a film positive. And from this film positive, we make a steel printing plate. The printing plate is dipped in a photoresist, and it's run through a photography process, just like you're making a picture almost. We put the picture on this plate, and then after a couple of more steps in the process, we put the plate in a steel etching acid, and it etches away the black area you see on this piece of film. And now the plate is affixed to the machine. The specific color that you're going to be using will be put on the plate. And basically how this thing works, when this blade goes back, it's like a big razor blade. The blade scrapes off the ink off of the plate, leaves the ink down in the image, right? In the same back stroke, the pad picks up the ink out of the image and comes and transfers it onto the car. And when the blade comes forward, there's a rubber squeegee behind the blade that fills the images again, and then it goes back and scrapes it off, fills it, scrapes it off, and then each forward process, it prints on the car. In some cases, there may be up as high as 3 or 4 colors on a particular car. Each one of these processes, like this particular one here, there's 3 colors now, white, red, and blue. Each color is applied separately. The white's put down first, then the red's put down, and the blue's put down on top of that. Every time you make a change, the plate's cleaned, the new ink is put on, it has to be reset. We take a junk car and set up the first color on the junk car, and we have something to go by, so we don't keep ruining cars every time we do one. And we'll do the next. We'll do the red, and we'll do the blue, and the same with this. This is a yellow printing. This is red, and it's got a yellow outline on it. This one's black or red with a black outline. Same way. We'll hit the red first on this, and then the yellow outline goes on top of that, and it also print the yellow here. This is separately. This will be separate, and that's basically how we do the pad printing on the cars. And
once complete, the models move over to get packaged and eventually shipped. Hayter says they make models and ship them all over the world, but their biggest market is on the East Coast and in the Midwest. They make about 5,000 to 8,000 model trains a year. And who's buying those models?
Most of them are users, end users. They actually have their own layouts in their house, and some of these layouts can be as small as a 4x8 sheet of plywood, and some can be as big as 3,000 or 4,000 square foot building that they have in there, you know. And that's basically who we sell to.
Hayter says there is also a big market for customized models, mainly with businesses. They have done models for local companies such as Wholesome Bread, Knoebels, Northumberland National Bank, Vermanos, and many more. They also customize models for organizations and clubs that want their logo on a train car. The love of trains and model trains as a hobby has been around for decades. Nearly everyone knows someone who is a train enthusiast.
It's probably the greatest part of the hobby. There's a lot of learning. There's a lot of history in the hobby. A lot of historical facts can be learned through the hobby. A lot of carpenter skills to build a layout. You learn a little bit about electrical processes. I think that's why it's a popular hobby. There's a lot of things can be learned through doing the hobby. It's by participating.
There are many model train makers that have moved out of the United States, but Hayter says they take pride in staying local.
The advantage we have is if someone comes to us and says, hey Joe, I'd like to have a car for my business or my organization, but I need it in 2 months. We can do that here.
To see some model train examples and for more information, go to weavermodels.com.
That's it for this episode of In Your Neighborhood. If you have a story idea, email us at iyn@secva.com. Be sure to check out our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. I'm Sara Bartlett. I'll see you next time on In Your Neighborhood.